Okay, guys, hi, and welcome to the Masterclass. I asked you guys to vote for what you wanted to see. Let me just pull it up right here. Community. Um, I asked most of you on this channel know me for my remakes, but I'll be making my own music. Da da da. What do you want to see me make a masterclass of? You know, what do you want me to go in depth about? And it seems like Call Upon won by quite a big margin. So that's what I'm going to start with, and then you guys can keep voting, and I'm going to do the next one, and the next one, and the next one. Eventually, I'm going to try and do all the tracks, you know, and I'm going to try and talk about them as much as I can, and as in great detail as I can. Now, I'm going to do this as a live stream, and I'm going to keep it on the channel, and I'm doing it this way because I want people to ask questions during the live stream, and then I can answer them towards the end, and then, you know, I'll answer them in the comments afterwards once the video is posted. Anyway, I'm going to play the track, and I'm going to just be quiet for a moment, and I'm going to let the track play. Hopefully it'll play the entire way through. I haven't opened the project in a while. And you guys can listen if you haven't heard it yet. Okay.
Best friends, souls tied, we complete one another. You know the best and the worst of me. We learn to laugh till we both can't breathe. Oh, you and I, we've been through it all. No matter how high, no matter how low, no matter where from, no matter where go, no matter too small. Your hand in mine, with the world to discover. Head first, we dive from the past to forever. You know the best and the worst of me. We learn to laugh till we both can't breathe. Oh, you and I, we've been through it all. No matter how high, no matter how
Okay, so that was the track from start to finish. Now, as you probably noticed, there's a lot of shit going on in the track. So you heard that the first drop when it stuttered. Sometimes Logic does that, but you have to replay it. But for the most part, it was okay and it played fine. Now, I think I'm gonna start by talking about like the breaks and the overall composition and the idea and the drop, and then I'm gonna go into the drop and then the effects and all that, and then I'm gonna like touch upon the intros and the outros and like the story behind that. So, my friend Emil, also known as Pentux, is his artist name. He released this song called Call Upon. I'm not gonna play it in the video because I don't want to get copyright strike, but he released this song called Call Upon. And this is the remix of that track that I did, and I was sent like the vocals for them and like the overall stems of the track and whatnot. Seems like Spotify's having a hard time. Whatever. It was a like really good track. It's like a deep house kind of track, and I really loved acapella. It was like really I don't know what to say, like really.
Two kids, knee high.
Really good, and so I transposed it and I did a bunch of stuff with like I don't think I have I don't think I have the project anymore for what I did with the vocals, but let me see. Or maybe there was that one. Yeah, that could be the one. I can maybe go into that afterwards. So basically, I had an entire separate project just for the vocals, and then I put that into here, and I just bounced it. So that's what you're hearing here. Now let's just go into the break, and let's talk about some of the elements going on there. I'm gonna mute the acapella for now, so we can easily hear all the stuff that's going on. Okay. So the first thing is this piano here. I believe it's actually this one. So this is, I think I have it here. Yeah, this is in Nexus. I don't think I have the actual thing anymore, but it was a Nexus preset, and I just added some. I added like a bunch of delay to it, and I added like as you can see here, just one of Logic's project plugins is called Scanner Vibrato, and basically what it does is it is really supposed to be used for like organ kind of like stereo phase, like modulation and phasing sort of stuff. But I saw Manse use it, and he just put it onto the C0 preset, and then he just let it be like that, and what it does is it brightens up the high end, which gives a nice, really like sparkly kind of sound. After that, I added like a comb filter, just to, like take away all the nasty frequencies that were in there. I added the virtual mix rack air from Slate, and I actually put it down a little bit because it was a little too sparkly in my opinion. So I just I kept it like that, and I bounced it. A lot of the stuff is bounced, but I think I have most of the original stuff anyway for this. Let me just listen to that. And then while that's playing, I have a few things. I have this piano here. It's Alicia's keys, I believe. I use it here. Yeah, it's a great piano plugin, Contact library from Contact, and I just put a filter on it, and just opening up the filter as you usually do in house music, so that like this. On top of that, I used one knob wetter. It's like a reverb plugin from Waves, and I also use, I believe, C6 just to brighten up the high end. I used the piano preset in that, and I just EQ'd a little bit, just a little bit more top end. So, and then I believe I'm using the glue to sidechain the piano once it comes in here. Yeah. So this is sidechaining. And then once the sidechain starts, I add a bass, and it's quite low, It's a sub, really, I think. Actually, more of like a Hoover bass, just in style of. yeah, just to keep it a bit more interesting. On top of that, I have some silent preset going as well. Now, also, when that starts, I have, actually, this is interesting to talk about, this part right here. This. Okay, so there's an entire story behind that sound right there. I use it quite a lot throughout the track. I use it when the intro stops, the break starts, and I use it like throughout the track, like in a drop as like an effect. So what I did was, this is quite interesting actually. So there's I actually sampled it from a track. I can take just the sample here, and then show you. It's quite interesting actually. I think I already like messed with it in this file here, but you can probably hear like, let's see. Yeah, so let's just take a listen to this. So that's actually from a 2010 song called Jag kommer, which is a Swedish song from the Swedish artist Veronica Maggio. Like again, I'm not going to play it here, but it starts off with like that, and then it's like, I always loved that so much, so I decided to like, hey, it'd be pretty cool if I use it in the track, because I think it's like such a good like transitional kind of sound. So what I did was I took it, I sampled it, just like recorded it on Audacity from Spotify even, I think. I don't even think I downloaded the MP3 or anything. And what I did basically was I chopped it up into two parts. So you got this part right here, which is like the, and then you got like this bit, which is like the end part. And I added delay to that one, but not the this one, so that it's so that this doesn't go on forever as well. Also, I might as well Google or search "Call Upon." Yeah, here it is. This is the track that I'm remixing in this. Like again, I'm not gonna play it, but this is the one. You should go listen to it. It's a really sick track. I like to fill it out with like these interesting like effects and stuff, you know. And I like to like, I think I pitched this even previously, and I did a bunch of shit with it to just make it a bit unique. So I did that. I don't think many people would think to sample a pop record for a track like this. So it's kind of interesting in that sense. Here is like a vocal kind of thing. It's basically, there's a track by Expo, really old track called "Nothing But Love for You," and it's basically like a house, kind of a cappella. And originally it was going to be a remix of that track, but then I was like, well, I don't know, it'd be cool to remix this other track instead. So what I did, when I was doing the remix of that track, what I did was I chopped it up so it just keep going like this, like for the break. I added just a reverb from Audio Damage called EOS, which makes it go on like forever, pretty much. It's like really... I always use it to make like vocal textures and shit. But when I started on the Call Upon remix, I just kept it in there, because I thought it sounded pretty nice. And on top of that, I think I have a vocoder as well going. But I'm not sure if that's actually active. It's getting its signal from... no. So it's not even doing anything. I think it might be might be like a remnant from the old remix. So anyway, what do we have so far? So we got the piano that comes in, a cappella, a little effect here. This is where the kick comes in, and I kind of like to introduce the lead quite early on, so that it's like going the entire way. So I have it going here, just very filtered. I just want to tease it a little bit. Also, I have this here. It's like a vocal texture. I'm sure you guys have heard that one before. I got some like custom kind of noise-driven things I think I made like ages ago. Just that kind of like Radeon kind of noise thing. I put some reverb on it. I always use Valhalla Runka, it's so easy, but sometimes I do try to play with different ones. Shakers. What do we got here? We got some kicks, I think. Yeah, just transitional kind of thing. Because I think I have a kick going. Yeah, down here is the same one. I just play with the rhythm a bit. This effect here is from Axel's song Tokyo by Night, or Axel's remix of Tokyo by Night, and it's I actually found the actual sample for this even before I posted this remix, but and this is like a sampled one. This is like a friend sent it to me, like an MP3 or something. Shout out to Brian who sent this effect to me, if you're watching this. But since then I actually found the real like sample. And I was like, oh, should I replace it? But I don't know, because I did a bunch of like processing to this like file, and I didn't want to do it again, so I just kept it like this, even though I had the real one. And I just added a simple delay to it. It's already quite delay-y, but I wanted to make it a little bit more, just to keep it going on for as long as possible without being too obnoxious or anything. Now this one right here is this is a sub. This is also being sidechained by the kick. This is interesting. This bass is actually the saw init preset from Nexus. I can show you right now what I did. So basically, in Nexus, there's a bunch of different effects you can add to like any preset. So what I did here was I basically took the saw init preset, just the basic one that you start out with, and I went into the mix layers. Let me see. Yeah, so I basically went into this and I changed it to the talkbox filter. Yeah, I usually use it just to like make old presets a bit more interesting. You know, I thought about like removing it because I thought it was a bit too obnoxious, but I think it works in the end. It's also in the drop. So now we have that, we got a kick, we got like these sweeps and stuff, and you got the lead coming in, so it all comes up to this build up right here. Now previously the piano that has been playing is, I should really have organized the project first. The piano that's been playing has been kind of, you know, like 16th notes. But then I want the break to be a little less, like, you know, so I want to be like, so I just have sustained notes here. But then I thought that was a little bit too boring, so I think I actually added this piano as well, so we got two different ones here. What more do we have? We have a riser here, used in a bunch of tracks. Another riser here. We got this massive preset from Fleecely. Just use it to fill out the mix, really. Some snares. What else do we have? We got some synths. Actually, that's it. There's not that much going on in the. I still got this vocal thing going in the build-up, but that's when the main lead comes in, and that's when the vibe kind of builds a bit, and it's only one lead in the build-up. I think it's this one, which is the main lead. It's from Spire. I can show you it. Basically, the way I found this one is LD 70th mod wheel. So I use this for a bunch of my tracks recently, and the way I found this because I was looking around for presets in Spire, and I found one called House Code, which is the one that it turns out this is the one that Alesso used for his song. Cool. Let me just play it. Yeah, you know, it's the same one. You know, I was like, oh, that's pretty sick. But then I found this one, which is like literally right next to it, and just. Yeah, I don't know, it always sounded so cool to me. It's exactly the kind of lead I was looking for a track like this. So I started using it quite a lot from this point on. And I really think it fills up the mix. It's like very epic, and I don't think a lot of other people have been using it. So it's a great lead, you know, I use it quite a lot as like a main kind of thing. So anyway, we got the build. Right before the drop, we got some fills here, I think. Or we got this Expo pitch effect kind of thing. Was actually sent to me by the producer Dirty Twist. Shout out to him as well if he's watching this. He sent me a bunch of effects I actually used. Around the same time I was making this, I used a bunch of them in this track. I just added it with a sub boom of my own, just to you know, hype it up a little bit, I suppose. And they got this, like this short sweep, like, you know, just before the drop. So anyway, it builds up. Let's listen to the break to the build and then to the drop, and I'll go into the drop and talk a little bit about how I did the drop and, you know, like what kind of elements and layers there, like how I got it to work and whatever. So. So one of the main thing that people talk about with this, who's been, you know, talking to me about this remix, is like the melody. You know, the melody is quite good, people say, and you know, I think it's probably one of the best ones I did. On the main lead, there's not much difference. I still have the same EQ, and I think I also added kickstart. I was gonna add this Logic preset, but I thought it sounded a bit too much, so I just kept it that way. And as you'll see, I'm kind of a maniac when it comes to like buses and stuff. Like, I always send everything to a bus because I like to keep like things organized. So this goes to the lead bus, and this lead bus goes to the drop bus, you know? So that's how I can do like these automations really easily. I don't need to worry about like, you know, oh, something's not going to go to the master or whatever. I want to keep my levels kind of good so that I can mix them quite easily later on. Like if you look at the master, I got a bunch of EQs on there, but most importantly, I got this one, which is like it's like an all-in-one kind of filter, flanger, riser kind of thing. I use it sometimes just to build a little bit, but I don't know if I use it that much here. Let me just check in the build. Yeah, you know, just so a little bit over halfway. You don't want to overdo it. And then I also have Isotope. I don't know if this is the actual master. I think I mastered it in a separate project, but this is just for me to play around with, so that I have like a thing that works from the beginning. So I did some additional EQ on the master and everything, but I'm gonna get to that. You know, I just want to make it be known that if I take all the shit off the master, it's actually hopefully there's gonna be quite a lot of headroom left, which is so hopefully it's not gonna go up to 0 dB if I take everything off. Yeah, no, you're around like a safe, you know, like -12, -13 dB. That's like what I try to aim to be. Usually, I've seen producers try and go for like -6, -12, -18. I don't know. It's up to you, man. But I prefer like just as long as it's like there's. Although I don't like doing it too much, because then if you add a new sound, and people who use Logic will know this, if you add a new sound and then the faders at 0, it's gonna like blow your ears off until you like take it back down like 12 dB. It means everything has to be like around there. You see all these faders are like only like 5% of what they're supposed to be. So that's like a drawback of doing a workflow kind of thing. But I think in general it's good to kind of keep a lot of headroom in the mix so that you can easily, you know, because what I always say is you can add volume, but you can't really take away volume so easily. You know, if things are clipping, if the faders are clipping, you don't want that. You just want them to be like kind of under control. So the more headroom, the better, I'd say. One of the things with this melody also, I can just play it and I can just show you like what I did with it. I actually did the melody on the stream, and I just tried to find the notes that would work best with the chords. So I always keep the chords in mind when I'm trying to make something. If I made this melody first, which I think I did, I tried to imagine at the same time what kind of chords I want to do. And then I put them down as soon as I'm sure that I'm on the right path. So I start off with like this note here. And that's like the main thing of the track. The one is like this pitch bend kind of note. And that's like the gimmick of the track. You hear it 3 times, and then you think you're going to hear it again on the same note, but you hear it down here instead. You know, and everything around that is basically just complementing that thing. So you got it going down here, and you got it going up. So the entire melody is kind of like just supporting that like idea. Yeah, you know, so when I try to make melodies, I try to write something that I know that I can listen to without getting bored. You know, just something I can listen to over and over and over again. I really like the way that this melody turned out. And like I said, the main gimmick is just like this pitch bend note. And I try to keep like a theme in mind when I'm doing music. It really helps it all flow together, like composition-wise. So what I did here was I took that one note, and then I made that into like its own kind of like part of the track. So this is like one layer that just goes down like that, just like re-emphasizing the wheel, you know, at the start of every. You know, I just put some reverb on it, more than usual. I widened it up a bit. I also have it going to bus with some reverb, but I don't have this plugin anymore. It wasn't that good anyway. So I just have it like really wide, really big, and I also use this in different parts of the track. You know, I use it throughout, so I try to keep the theme the same. You heard this in the intro, the outro. You know, it's kind of like just keeping that wheel, like that is the focus of the track. Everything else is just like not messing that up. So you see it follows the exact same kind of pattern as the other one. Yeah, but it's, you know, it's you know, that's how it's like when you're using pitch bend on plugins. Sometimes it messes up, but that's kind of like the idea, the core of the track. What else do we have? We got some notes here, just sustaining as a trick of mine that I do quite a lot. Let's see, what's this? This is nothing. Okay, yeah. So what I do here, try to keep one note just going throughout the entire thing. To me, it sounds really epic, and also there's like a musical reason of doing it. The reason I try to keep like one note going is because in relation to the notes that are happening underneath, like this note right here, this is E. Now this track, if I play E on top of F sharp, that has like one meaning, that's like one interval, and then it stays on E, but then the notes in the bottom change. So each time it's like a different kind of. It could be a ninth, it could be a seventh, it could be like a fifth, it could be a third, you know, but it's changing like relation all the time, but it stays the same, which is like really clever, and that's what a lot of people do. It's a really great way of just, you know, keeping it like that. I have this vocal thing going as well in the drop, but I think this is a different one or slightly different part of the track. I'm just eking it a little bit more on some sidechain. Got some fills here. We got this Avicii white noise from the Cut remix pack. We got this impact here. I'll get to the middle impacts. Let's just start. So I don't know how experienced the people watching this are going to be, but one thing I always did from the start, or one thing you should really do, I'd say, apart from like filling out your track with like your crashes, you know, got crashes here, got another one here. That's great, but also you'll see I have a lot of crashes in the beginning and effects in the beginning. Now, if you just listen to this, I do that. I think the reason we do this as producers is to kind of subconsciously convey that there is more shit happening. So like when the drop comes, you're not only getting a bunch of low end, you know, the kick, you know, because remember, this is being like filtered up, so you don't really have a lot of low end up until the drop. So you're getting all of a sudden a lot of low end, but you also get a lot of high end just to match that, and that like keeps the energy that like hits you. You know, it hits you like a freight train, and it's like right there, you know, and you really want to keep that because that keeps the energy throughout the track. You know, it's really hard to make a progressive house track like be energetic without like these crashes, and make sure to like the right volume as well, because they need to be kind of like, you know, in balance. You don't want to make them too loud, too quiet. There's a really nice sweet spot. I think whenever you're mixing something and it's a bit too quiet, it might as well not be there. Like I always say, like, if you're not gonna raise it, so that I can actually hear it, just take it away because it's not doing anything down there. So you really need to, it's really a balancing act. Every time you add something else, you need to adjust the other ones so that they sound right. I found like a balance between these crashes and all the different effects that I felt kind of complemented the mix quite well. But everyone's different. You might want more of like this kind of thing, or like maybe you want more of a like a, I don't know, a mid impact or a high impact. You don't really want a low impact because that can really mess with the bass and the kick. But it's different for everyone, and you know that's kind of the fun part, like experimenting with it and see what sounds good. You know, trying to keep the energy in the mix so that people can dance to it easily. So I talked about this layer right here, the Spire one. There's actually a few more. There's this one as well, which is the preset Orchid drops from Nexus. It's really nice pluck kind of sound, just fills out the mix quite well. This one is Silent. It's like a vibrato kind of thing. Super Saw, I use this scanner vibrato thing on it as well. I got this as well. Just a piano. Okay, got another Silent Fluid. More of a detuned one. It's also like kind of find like whenever you find like good leads, it's great because that you can also reuse leads like throughout tracks, like background leads especially, because it's nice to have a good balance. Because some leads are going to be like really releasey, some are going to be like really detuned, some are going to be like really straight and not detuned at all. You need to find like a good balance of these kind of leads and like try and make them go together. And also like you can't have them all at the same volume. So I just like, okay, this Spire one, this is gonna be my main lead. Like no other lead is gonna be more like in front than this one. So I just decided like right there and then this is gonna be the one, you know. Then we have a different kinds of saw waves. You hear. So this right here, this is a square, you know, and it's also mixed in with a saw. Then we have this other one, which is just a square. I have this, which is like a detuned Nexus kind of thing. Another detuned one. And then just some white noise just to fill it out a bit. One thing to do is you can see I've transposed some of these up 12 or down 12, and you know the notes are all in like, you know, different places and stuff. Try to vary like where the leads are playing. I think of it as kind of an orchestra, and not all pieces on the orchestra are going to be playing the same octave or the same note, or even like all the time like the same melody. It could be like complementary things. Experiment with like what sounds good. Try not to put all your leads, like if you have like, I don't know how many leads here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, well you have like 10 or 11 leads, try to, you know, really vary them. You don't want them to be too like samey. If they're all playing in the same octave, they're kind of all fighting for the same frequency space, so you want to try and vary them. It's really difficult. Like I get it's so difficult to like know exactly like where. Also, it doesn't help that some plugins by default are lower, and then some ones are higher. Like Nexus is like 1 octave higher all the time for some reason. So you have to so you always have to like put the notes higher to like, you know, play it like as the other ones is. It's really a pain in the ass. But once you finally get this balance down, it's really, you know, it takes a load off. These leads are all going to this bus right here. And what's on the bus is just a low cut. I don't need anything that is below 215 hertz. Doesn't matter for this. You know, I don't need it in the mix. I think this is not this is not sidechain compression. This is just usual regular. You want to be careful when you're sidechaining things, or when you're compressing things that are already sidechained, because you need to realize that there will be like a big dynamic shift. I try to just try and capture the bits of the unsidechained signal that are too loud. You know, like when the kick is not in the mix, I don't want it to be too loud, you know? It can be louder, but I don't want it to be too loud. So just, you know, doing that to keep it under control. Same thing with the OTT. It's a multi-band compressor, just like trying to keep it all under control. We got some platinum reverb here from Logic. We got some, this is just for filters and stuff. I don't think I'm always using this. This is just like the filter down and filter up, like Oka and whatever. In Logic, I usually use like the EQ just to filter, and in, like FL, I just use like the filter plugin. It's like a dedicated filter plugin. So these are all going to that, and then on top of that, or sorry, underneath that, we got a few chord layers. So this one here is now notice I'm not just playing the third and the fifth I'm keeping like I'm actually adding quite a lot of harmonies with these chords. I don't think they're all the same either. They're a bit different. So I've got this one note here, the E note, which is always the same. Then I have quite interesting. So I've got Logic's way of interpreting chords is kind of weird, but you know, just for example, it's not always like the root note, the fifth note, and the third. Sometimes it could be like no thirds, like here. Here we've got an A sus2. Here we've got a C sharp minor 7. Here we've got a B at 11. You know, try and vary it so that you keep it interesting, and you got, because I feel like the more harmonies in the mix, the better, oftentimes. So more interesting, you know. This is a piano. Just bounced it from Nexus. I think I bounced everything that's in Nexus for this track actually. I have no idea what plugin that's from though, but that sounds kind of nice. And I got these some like standard ones I always use that I've probably just taken from a different project or something. I did add some. I used these serum effects actually. This is a good tip. I used the serum effects for this flanger and a phaser. These are like the Serum has great effects, and when they released an effect version of the plugin, I was like, you know, really into it. So that means you can put the Serum effects on any sound, you know. So I used the flanger here and I used the phaser here. It sounds more interesting with it than without it, in my opinion. You know, just adding a little bit of interesting properties. Now I'm using the Slate digital stuff again. I'm using Air and CS Lift. I think I'm just like making it a bit more dull because I don't want everything to be too bright. Although I honestly can't hear the difference anymore. Sometimes it's like that. Not really here. Then we have like this one preset that's just like playing like one note most of the time. Oh yeah, and I'm tape stopping it, just, you know, just because why not, just to keep it a bit more interesting. Really nice. And these are all the same with the leads. These are all going to a bus, the chords bus. And here we just got some compression, and I use this gain plugin just to keep things under control. Here I'm boosting it, I don't know why, I don't remember anymore, but I use it instead of using this so that I don't have to automate the fader in case I wanted to like rebalance some stuff later on. It just makes it easier that way. Some more OTT. I love OTT. Got some Filter Pro Q3 and then Pro Q2 for some reason. I don't even know. This is just you hear preset or you hear frequencies that you like more than the others, and you just want to push those forward. It's really hard, especially with chords, to try and get it like good, because you don't want to like get in the way of the leads too much. They're supposed to be kind of in the background, you know. Here I'm using Slate again. I'm using an actual EQ here, but the only thing I'm doing is really just taming down the low end and the high end ever so slightly. Like, it's only there just to add the character of the thing. And I'm using this, I don't even know what we would call it. It's like a harmonic kind of thing. Shimmer and thickness. It's just adding a bit of like bottom, I guess, and some high. Rounding it out a bit, I guess. Moving on, we got some basses here. Of course we do. So this is kind of like a bass that has been put through some processing, like WoW from Sugar Bytes. I don't know if I use the first one or the second one, because there's two ones. I use this one more these days, but I think for this one I actually used WoW, this one, and it's fucked up for me, so I don't even know. But I have this one preset I always use, you know, so it's called Rejector. Just I use it in the original plugin, so if you find it, then just that's what I've been using here. It's just it's a silent bass, and pretty much anything you put through WoW sounds cool. So I do it just to keep things interesting. Here's a sub, or sorry, more like a different kind of bass. This is let me see. This is like a French bass, like a Daft Punk kind of bass. This is like a weird, distorted kind of. I don't even know what it is. but it fills out the mix quite well, I think. Oh, here is a sub, I think, or maybe not. I don't know. I hope I have a sub in this. That'd be kind of embarrassing if I didn't. Yeah, no, I don't even know if I have a sub in this track. Surely I do. Well, apparently not. But yeah, no, that's weird. Yeah, no, literally, I don't think there's actually a sub in this track. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I did have one, but I don't think I needed it or something. That could be it. Or maybe I'm just stupid and I forgot it. But in any case, that's basically the most of the stuff in the drop. Like in terms of leads and basses and stuff. Same thing on the bass bus. There's the same sort of stuff happening here. I've got gating on the basses, all the basses. I don't know why, I just thought it sounded kind of cool. So altogether, the basses and the chorus and the leads sound like this. Now, in terms of like drums and effects, I can just play you everything I have going here, and I can just like mute stuff I've already been talking about. So like the one note harmonies, already talked about that. Actually, I think here is a sub. Oh, thank God, I do actually have a sub. Yeah, here it is. I'm using L2, which has a limiter. I'm just using it to keep it under control. I'm limiting it, but then I'm putting it back down to the volume it was at. So basically like really hard compression. I'm using R bass here, L2 for the sidechain, just EQ. I think I EQ matched to get that curve, and then it's just like it's taking off the high end from the preset. Yeah, so at least I'm not a complete tool when it comes to making music. But here is like the like miscellaneous kind of fills and stuff. I'm gonna try and solo all of them. I think they are all in one place. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, sure. So let's just play this, and you know, let's see. Maybe the most important thing to talk about here is the kick. I usually don't EQ the kicks, but in this time I did, very so slightly. I added Sheck Transit Shaper to it from Sheck Audio Technologies, not endorsed by Shaquille O'Neal. And I always keep the kicks in mono because, and the subs, just because that's the way you're supposed to do it. And if someone tries to tell you that you don't do it that way, then you know, just don't listen to them, because you can really mess up club speakers if you're trying to play like a stereo signal that low, so I try to avoid that. And then we have the drop going, and I think I filtered down the leads a little bit, and then we go into the break. Something's wrong with the plugins, right? Yeah, totally. Oh shit, right, let me just figure this out. That's embarrassing. Oh well, shit like this happens all the time. Some plugins can, you know, freak out about some certain things. I guess it's part and parcel of making music. So sorry for that. That's kind of annoying. But I think I fucked some stuff up with the project anyway, so it's probably not that bad. So in the second break, it's mostly just the same kind of stuff, like the same sort of stuff that's happening in the first break, just adding the vibe, you know. I got this, like, these fills are going. I think I added a little bit more of like shakers and percussion and whatnot, just to keep it moving, you know, keep it danceable. And then it goes into this kind of breakdown section, which is something I want to talk about as well with this track. Let me see if I have any questions, and I will answer them, or I will keep them in mind. Let me see. Got it up on my phone here. Ear rape? Absolutely. Okay, so we have a question here from David. I know it's not the purpose of this live stream, but I have a question. the remix that you made improved your music production skills? I would say absolutely. You know, one of the reasons I started remaking different people's tracks was to try and like learn like how they did like stuff, so I could later like use that to try and like make my own music. So yeah, I would definitely say that it helps, you know, tremendously. Like, you know, understanding how popular songs are made and whatnot. So let's see. So now we're into like the breakdown section of the second break, and here's like a more of an orchestral kind of part. Okay, so what do I have happening there? So I decided it would be kind of nice to break up the track a little bit. I want to play the melody, but I don't want to play it fully. So what I did was I just like made like an abbreviated version of the melody, kind of. I have some violins going here. There's some nice drums. And yeah, basically the lead on top here as well, which is just playing like I said, an abbreviated version. And these strings carry on into the build-up, which is quite cool. So they play their part and then they just linger, kind of. Which is kind of cool, which really helps with the energy of the second build-up, which is like the penultimate climax of the track. And I have this melody. So now I wanted this to be like the ultimate climax of the track. So I chopped off the acapella and so he repeats the line, when I call upon, when I call upon, when I call upon you. But I thought, hey, wouldn't it be kind of cool if he goes into that, but then he keeps saying call upon, call upon, call upon, and then like the entire track goes crazy, and then like the drop comes. So I had it, so I chopped it up, I did it in a different project, and I just chopped it up so he says like, so I rearranged the vocals a little bit here.
I know I'll get through. You never let me down. When I call upon, 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 I call.
So this build-up, I believe, is longer than the last one, and basically what I'm doing here is a shit ton of automation, you know, just trying to keep it, trying to build the vibe as much as possible before the drop finally comes in, you know, everything goes crazy. Mix-wise. Let me see. So what I did was I automated. I remember I bounced some of these things, but I automated like the pitch of and the filter of these. I automated kind of the pitch of these build chords right here. Let me see. And I did the same thing for the, I don't know what I did here. So this is oh yeah, okay. This is like the left and right speaker, I think. Yeah, this is like here it is. You know, so it's like a manual ping pong delay kind of thing. And I automated that here and then just rendered it. I got some automation here, but it's not being used. I'm also automating like the build, you know, stuff and like the pitches and stuff, and I bounce it all out here. I use Sound Shifter to pitch audio. It really helps a lot when you don't have like access to the synth. So all together, everything in the second build kind of sounds like this. So like this is the like the climax of the entire track, and I wanted to for like the second part of the drop, I wanted to like get in like the chorus, like so all this stuff is going crazy, and I wanted to have him like start singing like no matter how high or whatever. And I also I had this let me see. So this continues, like it continues in the track, and then I think I also automated downwards, so it goes down. I think I actually have it right here. So this is the main lead basically, and I want to have it. I have it like going on the entire drop. Yeah, so I just have it going downwards, like a downriser kind of thing. Kind of cool that way. So then let's just take a listen to the drop with like the chorus in it and everything. Yeah, so that's basically the track. So I have it going down, and I think all around, I'm pretty happy with this track. I'm glad that I realized I actually was thinking of sub, but that'd be kind of embarrassing if I wasn't. But I was. It's just I should have organized this before I started. The sub is up here for some reason, but it's no problem. Let's look a little bit at the questions. I'm going to try and answer them. Let me see. We've been doing this for about an hour, I'd say. Let me see. Yeah, about an hour. So okay, this is a great time to use to answer some questions. Okay, so if you have some questions, go ahead and type them and ask them. I'm gonna answer them while I'm in the project, and I'm gonna show you stuff. Okay, so we answered that one from David. Thank you for that question. Do you compress white noise, or does it depend on the concept? Compressed white noise? I don't know really. I mean, if you mean, I'm assuming that you mean like white noise, like in the drop, like kind of like the one that has been used here, for example. I don't know if I can say that I compressed white noise. Maybe just like slightly, just like compression does everything else. It really depends. I only ever use white noise for like a filling out the drop kind of purpose, and usually it's already quite good how I like it, so I don't always feel the need to compress it, but maybe I should. I didn't see the start of the stream, so I'll just ask in the chat, do you start a track with making the beat and then start on the lead and EQ to match the beat, or do you do it differently? So what I do was I always start with like the melody and the piano, or like the chords, even like a bass line. It's always like about the melodic aspect of it for me, and then once I have like the melody, like kind of how I want it. Oftentimes I'll do the melody and then like change it halfway through, but just to get me started, I'll do that, and then like I'll try and like fill up the composition. Like okay, what comes next? What come next? And I try to imagine like kind of, if I was hearing this on the radio, what would I expect to be like right here? Sometimes I look like these sections, like when I'm building these sections here, I try to think like, what could be here, like what would work here, and I do that for all the, but I lay the groundwork of the stuff, so I like lay the groundwork of the intro and then the break and like kind of how I want it. And then when I have like the entire idea of the track done, like the entire arrangement, like this is like 6 minutes or whatever of house, then I go like into the individual parts of the track and just like try and fine tune it, because it makes it so much easier for me just to get into it and like, to get started. And I think a lot of people feel this way as well. Just the easier I can get into it, the higher the percent of chance that the track is going to get done. Because oftentimes if you spend too much on like one track, like one part of the track, it just sucks, and then you don't have like a drop yet or anything, and you just can't be bothered. So I always keep it like really shitty, and then I try to like fill it out afterwards. Also, I heard that sick individuals just throw a bunch of leads inside one bus and then edit the bus and not each individual leads before busing. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I try to. Here's my philosophy on mixing. I try to make, and also like mastering. I'm gonna talk about the master as well. Actually, thanks for reminding me about that. So I try to keep every single aspect of the like the leads and everything. Just try and keep them like good on their own, and then maybe I'll put them all to the bus and like see if there's anything additional I want to do. But what I don't want to do is have like a leads that sound shit, and then like just hope that it's gonna sound good once I'm messing with the bus. Because oftentimes you don't want to process every lead the same, because then they kind of sound like. It depends. Like maybe like one lead has like super harsh frequency that you want to get rid of, but the other ones don't have that. So now you're just losing a bunch of audio, and now it just sounds like weird and thin. And maybe you fixed the problem, but you also like made 100 different problems. So that's why it's good to like process each individual part separately. In my opinion, if you have like the time and the effort, it really does pay off, and it helps you get a kind of a cleaner mix if you do it that way. Same thing with mastering and mixing, by the way. I try to keep the mix good on its own. Like, I can take all the shit off the master. It still sounds pretty good. This last, like, EQing and stuff and, like, compression, whatever, that's just to kind of, balance it out a little bit. I'm not going to be able to get it completely perfect, but I'm going to get, like, as good as I can. And then I'm going to try and, like, do, like, all the stuff on the master afterwards. Just trying to keep it, organized, and just trying to keep it, like, clean most of the time, just like trying to keep it clean, because if you like do too much shit on your master, it always sounds like so weird and muddy and messes up, and it also like fucks with your vision, so you don't really want to continue the track because it just sounds like ass, so you don't want to do it anymore. I always get like that. How would you layer leads? A lot of different leads. Hey, did you go to Tribute concert? Yes, I did, and I helped a little bit with like the some of the old projects that they didn't have anymore. I helped with like some of my remix, and I helped with the team, and I got to meet like backstage and stuff, and it was really good. It was really nice. It was a really amazing, emotional concert. Great atmosphere. It was perfect. It was it was awesome to be there. Can you show us some presets? Of course, sure. All right. So this main one, I already exposed the band parts leads. I'll show it one more time for you guys. Here it is. This is the one. I use it quite a lot. I ended it sometimes, but it's mostly the same for most of my productions. I'm kind of lazy like that. If it works, it works in my opinion. Here is one. It's just an init preset. You can screenshot that, copy it, whatever. It's like a backup kind of lead. I had a different one before, but I took it out because it was too similar to the first one. If I feel like there's two leads that are like the same, I just take them out because I only need one. And then I'll try and replace it with something that sounds like totally different. I feel like that works quite kind of a lot. And then also maybe I have 10 leads here or 9 leads or whatever, but sometimes I end up with like way more than that. So I just trying to cut it down. See, like, do I really need this? Because if you have so many leads, sometimes it's kind of hard to find one that is like the main one, because they're all like the main one, you know what I mean? Because there's so much audio. You're just being hit with like a wall of leads. You don't always want that. What plugins on your master? All right, great. So on the master chain, I have. I'm gonna mute the master actually when I show you this, so that I can talk while it's like playing, and you can see like the plugins reacting and everything. So the first thing I have on the master, just an EQ. It's just adding a little bit of high end, keeping it quite nice and crisp. Here I have a low cut, cutting everything below 51. That's actually quite harsh. Maybe you shouldn't do that. Maybe like 30 is okay for you. I can't remember why I did this, but I was probably thinking straight, I guess. I don't know, but then I just boosted like the kick a little bit and took away some of the harsh frequencies around 370. Here, that's usually like where it sounds boxy. I already talked about this one. It's like a filter plugin. This is literally just to automate like the volume. What I usually do is I automate the volume down like this before the drop comes. So when the drop comes, it sounds like more epic. So I do it like that quite a lot. I also do the same thing like a filter. Or do I? I don't know. Sometimes I do it. Sometimes I don't. Yeah, no, I didn't do it in this track, but sometimes I have like a low cut, and I have that. Actually, that first preset I showed you. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so I didn't actually cut like that. It was actually just the automation got weird. It's actually supposed to be a nothing. So, what else do I have? I got some Pro Q, just some more EQ, really, boosting the lows and the highs a little bit. Here was like an EQ match thing I got, like I think I referenced it with like a Monster track or something. just something that sounded like kind of nice. So keeping it radio, keeping it in check. This one is like just an equalizer. I turned down the amount. I like in Logic or in Isotope you can do that. You can like how much of each thing you want. Really good. I use it quite a lot. So I like start with something that's maybe too much and I just tone it down a bit. Really helps. I use a harmonic exciter, but only on the low end. And don't even ask me why, because I don't even know. I guess I just wanted like a more crispy low end, but that's probably just us. You know, I can't like remember exactly like how I was thinking, but you know, when you're in the flow of things, you just do things and you do this and do that. And Isotope's trying to tell me that loves me. And so stereo imaging, also an important thing. I always put the low end to mono, always, because it's probably mono anyway. Like if I take this off, you can see it's still it's kind of stereo, but it's pretty mono. It's pretty mono. But I just wanted to make it completely mono, just so that there isn't any problems when playing on the club or anything. A slightly brighter high end. I removed this fourth band because I don't like it. I only like using 3 bands. So then we got, lastly, I don't even do a lot on this. Lastly, we got a limiter, or as Isotope calls it, a maximizer, which is just a limiter, and I use the IRC2 algorithm here, and quite a fast setting. And let's see. It would be interesting to see how hard it hits when the drop comes. I tried to keep it like kind of tame, but we'll see. This is the drop, I think. Yeah, see, that's not that bad, actually. This track is quite reasonable in terms of like volume and stuff. This is really reasonable track. It's not over compressed or anything, so I'm quite happy actually with how that the limiter is barely doing anything, just keeping it like a 0 dB. Nice work, Ben. Thanks. Can you upload the live video on YouTube to watch it later? Yeah, I will do. I think I'm gonna edit out like when it fucked up, but apart from that. You want me to send the correct MIDI for Take Me in Your Arms? Well, if you want, sure, go ahead. Thanks, man. When the song and the mix is over, what is the needed peak level volume of -6 dB? I don't know. Like I said, I in this case it's on like -12 when everything's off, you know. But then when the track is done. Oh, sorry, you can't even see it that way. Will this work? Yeah, no, that doesn't work. See, so it's like -12 when it's off, but when it's on, it's always it's like minus 0.1 ish. I think I actually have the ceiling set here to 0, so yeah, it goes to 0. After the compression and everything, and the mastering. A plugin called CLA Bass turns the bass from mono to stereo. Should I keep it in mono? Yes, absolutely. You should keep it in mono. How do you start off the mixing process? That's an interesting question. What I usually do is I try to mix like in subgroups. Like I have like one group of leads, then I like just mix these and play one of like the volumes on here, and like okay, until I find something that sounds good, and then I like eventually I'll group them all together, and I'll try and find where that fits in the mix. And I'll do the same for all these other groups. So each group sounds like good balanced, and then I try to balance that into the mix. But sometimes it's easy to like forget like what the track's supposed to be like. So I don't stay in solo mode for too long. Often when I'm mixing, I just keep it out and I can hear it like with everything, so I can hear what I'm doing even better. What I usually do is I increase something really loud and then I take it so that I can hear it, and then I pick it